Welcome to our series on Su Shi, also known as Su Tungpo, one of the most celebrated figures in Chinese literature. In this episode, we'll delve into the life of Su Shi and the tumultuous era he lived in, shaped by the controversial social reforms of the statesman Wang Angshi. Su Shi was born in 1037, during the Northern Song dynasty, a time of great cultural and intellectual development. This period also saw significant political and economic turmoil, particularly during the reign of Emperor Shenzong, who endorsed Wang Angshi's ambitious reform agenda. Wang Angshi's new policies, known as the Xining reforms, aimed to strengthen the state by addressing fiscal and administrative challenges. These reforms included measures like the Green Sprouts program, which provided government loans to farmers, and the establishment of state monopolies on crucial goods. While intended to alleviate economic disparities and increase state revenues, these reforms were met with mixed reactions. The reforms were seen as radical and disruptive by many, including scholars and officials. Critics argued that these measures placed undue burdens on the common people and stifled local economies. The state's heavy-handed intervention led to widespread discontent, as peasants were often unable to repay the loans, leading to land seizures and increased poverty. In such ardent zeal for social reform, Wang Anshi inevitably regarded any means as justifiable by the end, including purging of all dissenting opinions. Su Shi became a vocal critic of Wang Angshi's policies. He believed that the reforms were well-intentioned but ultimately flawed, as they overlooked the practical realities and complexities of local governance. He saw the reforms as a betrayal of Confucian principles, which emphasized benevolent governance and the well-being of the people. Su Shi's critiques were expressed through his writings, including poems, essays, and letters. His works often highlighted the unintended consequences of the reforms, such as social unrest and economic hardship. For instance, in his famous letter to Emperor Shenzong, Su Shi warned about the dangers of pursuing policy changes too hastily and without proper consideration of their long-term effects. Su Shi's outspoken stance eventually led to his political downfall. He was exiled multiple times, first to Huangzhou and later to more remote regions like Hainan Island. Su and Wang never got to see how their struggle ended or the conquest of China by the northern barbarians. But Su did live long enough to witness the disastrous effects of the social reforms. He saw how the peasants, whom Wang claimed to love so much, had to flee their homes not during bad times like famine or flood, but during years of good harvests. The officials would throw them in jail if they returned to their villages because they couldn't pay back the loans and interest forced on them by the socialist regime. There were dishonest reporters who chose to ignore the regime's flaws and only highlight its supposed virtues. They knew the bad side but kept quiet, making it seem better than it was. The emperor might have had good intentions, but he was gullible and wrong about the main issue. The social reforms ended up being a form of iron rule over the people. In the chaotic power struggle, party fanaticism overshadowed patriotism, weakening the nation. This made China vulnerable to northern conquerors. It was almost inevitable that the imperial dynasty would fall and the Song government had to retreat south of the Yangtze River. After the fall of the Song dynasty, historians walked among the ruins, trying to understand the causes of the catastrophe, but it was too late by then. A year after Su Tungpo's death, when the petty partisans were in power before they handed North China over to a foreign ruler from across the Mongolian wilds, an important event took place. This was the creation of the famous Yuanyu Partisans Tablet, which summed up the struggles of that time. Yuanyu was the name of the reign from 1086 to 1093, during which Su Tungpo's party was in power. The tablet listed 309 men, including Su Tungpo, who were banned forever by imperial order from holding government office. Their children were also forbidden from marrying into the royal family. These tablets were set up all over the country, with some still existing on China's mountain tops today. The goal was to eliminate all opposition and commit these men to eternal infamy. However, things didn't go as planned. Instead of being shamed, the children of these blacklisted men proudly boasted that their ancestors' names were on the tablet. This unintended effect made the UNU partisans' tablet famous in history. Some men on the list didn't deserve the honor, but they were included because the authors wanted to get rid of all their personal enemies. Initially, all stone inscriptions with his writing were ordered destroyed, his books were banned, and he was stripped of every rank he had held. But his poems remained popular, and despite the heavy fines for possessing his works, they spread even more. Scholars felt disgraced if they couldn't recite his poems. After Su Tungpo had passed away and the intense political turmoil had settled, the emperors of the southern Sung dynasty, residing in their new capital, Hangzhou, began to read his works, especially his state papers. The more they read, the more they admired his bold patriotism. One of his grandchildren, Su Fu, was given a high office because of his famous grandfather. Beside all these, Su Tungpo was mainly known as a poet and writer. That's where his real reputation lies. His writings have a unique quality that's hard to explain or fully appreciate in translation. Su described good writing as something like the sailing of clouds or the flowing of water, moving forward naturally and stopping where it must. This natural flow of thoughts and language gives it a charming and abundant quality. Su is that person who can grasp an intangible, exclusive idea, or the essence of a situation and make it clear and express it well. Su Shi's life and work offer a timeless reflection on the complexities of governance, the role of the intellectual, and the human capacity to find meaning even in adversity. In our next episode, we will explore Su Shi's early life, including his upbringing, family background and significant events that shaped his personality and intellect. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights into Chinese culture and history. See you next time.